Network diagram. So we are going to see how we can draw a network diagram in OR. Now a network in OR means it's a combination of activities and events of a project. And a project here means it's a project here consists of a number of jobs, activities or tasks that are related to one another, and we can say that a project is complete only if all these activities are completed. And that means a network is a combination of all the activities that occur, combination of all the activities and events that occur in a project. Now how do we represent these activities and events in a network diagram? Arrows represents the activities in a network diagram, and the events are represented by circles and they are numbered. So looking at the example here, we can see an activity is represented here. Here the activity is labeled as B, and the activity starting event is 2 and the ending event of the activity is 3. The starting event of an activity is called the tail event and the ending event of an activity is called the head event. So we can call this activity as B or the activity 2, 3. So the activity can be labeled in two ways. That is, we can either give a symbolic representation like B or label it using a symbol, or it can be represented or it can be labeled or called using the ending events of the activity. So here B represents the activity 2, 3. So in this, this activity can be called as B or activity 2, 3. Now, what are the rules for constructing the network diagram? We have 4 rules here for constructing a network diagram. The first one is each activity is represented by one and only one arrow in the network. Each activity is represented by one and only one arrow in the network. That means if we take any activity, it will have only one representation in the network diagram. No two arrows can be labeled with the same name. Okay, now no two activities can be identified by the same head and tail event. That's the second rule. The second rule is no two activities can be identified by the same head and tail event. That means the events, the activities, each activity should have a unique ending and ending events. For example, we cannot, suppose we have two events 2 and 3, and I have drawn an activity A, then there cannot be an activity B which will have the same starting and ending events. So this is wrong. It cannot be permitted. That is, parallel activities cannot be done. No two activities can have the same head and tail events. The third one, except for the nodes at the beginning and at the end, every node must have at least one activity preceding it and at least one following it. Now look at this figure. Here the starting event is 1 and the ending event is 6. Except these two, all other events should have, all other activities should have a preceding and a succeeding activity. So here the starting event is 1, but the starting activities are A, E and F. We have 3 starting activities, and since we identified it as the starting activity since they don't have a preceding activity here. So except for the starting activities and the ending activities, all other activities should have a preceding and succeeding activity. Here look at B. B should have a preceding activity and a succeeding activity. Here for B, A is a preceding activity and D is a succeeding activity. The same is in the case of C, the preceding activity is E and succeeding activity is D. And look at the case for D and G. For D and G, the starting they have preceding activities, but they don't have a succeeding activity because they are the ending activities in this network diagram. So that is the third rule. And the last rule is only one activity may connect any two nodes. Okay, only one activity may connect any two nodes. It's similar to the above mentioned activities. That is, if you take any two nodes, there will be only one activity connecting those two nodes. Okay, now take any one activity from this figure, say C. See the ending nodes of C are 2 and 5. There are no other activities with the same ending nodes, right? That is what is explained by rule 4. So these are the rules for constructing network diagram. Now consider this question. We are going to draw a network diagram for the given set of activities. Here in this question, the activities are given and the preceding activity for each activity is also given. So the preceding activities for each activity are also given. These are the details that we have to draw a network diagram for this particular question. So let's see how we can draw a network diagram using these details. Okay. Now in this question, here there are no details about the events. We know that an activity is represented by an arrow connecting two events. In this question, only the labels are given, the activity names are given, and the preceding activity names are also given. Using this information, we have to draw the network diagram. And since the events are not specified, we have to number the events as they occur. So first, let's see what are the starting activities. Now we are going to identify the starting activities from the given information. Now look at the table. Look at here we can see that in the preceding activities we have two blanks for two activities, right? What is the meaning of that? There are no preceding activities for two activities A, that is A and B. For A and B there are no preceding activities. The meaning of that is we know that in a network diagram only the starting activities don't have preceding activities and the ending activities will not have succeeding activities. So in this question the details of preceding activities are given. That means if an activity does not have a preceding activity, that will be the starting activity of that network. So here since we have two activities without preceding activities, both are going to begin at the same time. Okay, here we have two activities without preceding activities. That means the activities A and B are starting at the same moment, right? So the events, if the events are not given, we have to number the events, and this numbering starts from 1. From 1, 2, 3 we will number in order. To represent an activity we need two events, so the starting events should be 1 and 2 for the first activity. Since we have two activities in the beginning, that means from the first event, that is the first event is 1, from the first event two activities are actually emerging. So we will start with the first event. We will draw the first event, we label it as 1, and the events are circled, are represented using circles. So we circle the event. So this is the first event, and as from the given information we know that two events, we have two starting events. That means from the first event two activities are starting at the same time. So we have to draw two arrows from 1. So an activity should be represented by an arrow which starts from one event and should end at some other event, right? Since A is given first, we are going to draw the first activity for A. So the starting event for A is 1 and the ending event for A should be numbered as 2. Since A is given first, we are going to give the numbering. We are going to number the events for A as 1 and 2. Since B has also started at the first moment as A has started, it should also have the tail event as 1, but the head event of B is different. That is, it should be labeled as 3. Okay, since in the rule it has specified that no two activities can have the same end events, we cannot draw parallel lines through two nodes. That's why we have drawn separate links or separate arrows for or separate lines for A and B. Okay, now we have represented the starting activities in the figure. Now we'll draw the rest of the activities. Now the rest of the activity, first you have to look at the preceding activities. Since we have already drawn the starting activity, now we have to know what all activities are going to succeed A and B, right? So look at the preceding activities and look in which all activities the preceding activities are A and B. Since we have drawn A and B, look if we have A and B in any of the preceding activities. Now look at the activities C and D. For C and D, the preceding activities are A. Now this means that after A, C and D should start, right? When the activity A is completed, from that moment C and D should begin. The activity C and D should begin. Okay, the preceding activities for C and D are A. The meaning of that is after A is completed, after the activity A is completed, C and D should begin at that particular moment. So again here, after A, two activities are going to start simultaneously, that is C and D. So before drawing C and D, you should make sure that in the preceding activity, if C is associated with any of the activities that are already drawn. Now look at the preceding activities. Here C, suppose we are going to draw C first. So just check whether C is associated with any of the activities that we have already drawn in the preceding activity list. Now look, in the case of C, we can see that C is associated with B. That means the meaning of this is that the activity E can begin only after the completion of the activities B and C. That means while we are drawing C, it should end at the activity C should start at the event 2, since it succeeds A. So the C will start at event 2, but since C is associated with B in the preceding activities, it's shown like that, then that means an activity can start, that is activity E can start only after the completion of B and C. So C should end at the same event where B has ended. So when we draw C, C should start from 2, but it should end at the same event where B has ended. That means the activity C should start from the event 2 and end at the event 3. Since C has to end at the same event where B has ended, only then we can start any other activity after which follows B and C. Here in the question it is shown that in 3 activities, that's E, F and G. For E, F and G, B and C succeeds these 3 activities. So if these activities have to begin, they can begin only if B and C has completed, and they should complete at the same ending event, right? So this is how we draw the activity C. Now we have to draw the activity D, which also follows A, right? So D can be drawn. So before drawing D, just check whether D is combined with any other activities which we have already drawn. So in the preceding activity, D is combined with E, right? E, we haven't drawn E yet, so it doesn't matter where we draw D. So we have to give an ending event for D, since we know that the starting event for D is 2, since it follows A. So D starts from the event 2, but it should end at some other event. So we have to give a number for that event. So after we have already numbered till 3, so the next number should be 4. Now we are going to draw the event D starting from the activity D starting from the event 2, and it should end at the event 4. So this is the activity D. We have drawn the activity D here. Okay, now we'll draw the activity E. For the to draw the activity E, we know that the preceding activity for E is B and C. So E should begin where at the event where B and C has ended. So the event where B and C has ended is 3. From this event, we have to draw E. Not only E, F and G should follow B and C. So from 3 we have to draw 3 activities beginning from the event 3. Okay, so in the same way, before drawing E, we have to check whether C is combined with any of the activities that we have already drawn. Looking at the preceding activities, we can see that E is combined with D. That means E should end at the same event where D ends. Only then after that we can start H. The activity H can be started only at the event where D and E ends together. Okay. So while drawing E, we know that E starts from the event where B and C ended. That means E starts from 3, but it has to end at the event where D ended. So E should be drawn from 3 to 4. So this is how we draw the activity E. Now in the case of F, we are just check whether F is combined with any other activities in the preceding activity list. Since F is not combined with any other activity which is already drawn, so we can draw F anywhere. That is, anywhere means we have to give an extra event for F to end, right? So after E, we are going to draw F. Let the ending activity of F be 5, since till 4 we have already drawn. The next number should be 5. Now in the case of G, G also is not combined with any other activities which we have already drawn. So G can also start from 3, but it should end at some other event. The next number is 6. So G will end at 6. Now we have drawn till G. Now for the case of H, the preceding activities are D and E. So it should start from 4, and before going to that, check whether it is combined with any other activity which we have already drawn. H is here. H is combined with I, which we haven't drawn. So H can be drawn to a new event. Can end at a new event, right? But it should start from the event where D and E ended. That means H should begin from 4 and end at a new event. The next number we can give is 7, since 6 till 6 we have already labeled. Now this is H. Now we are going to draw I. In the case of I, in the preceding activity list, we can see that I is combined with H. And after completing H and I, there are 2 activities emerging from the event where H and I ends, right? So we have already drawn H, and H ends at 7, so I should also end at 7. And the starting event for I will be Since the preceding activity for I is F, the starting event of I is 5. So the activity will be drawn from 5 to 7. So I will be drawn from 5 to 7. Now in the case of J, J should start from the event where F ended. That means it should start from 5. But uh, it should end at a new event since J is combined with K and L. K and L we haven't drawn it. So it should end at a new event. So starting from 5 we will draw J and give a new label for. Okay, so J will come here. Now in the case of K, K is associated with J, so K should end at J, the event where J ended, but it should begin at the event from where G has ended, right? So G has ended at 6, so K should start from 6 and end at J. So K should be drawn like this. Now what's the case for L? In the case of L, the preceding activities of L are H and I. That means L should start from the activity where H and I ended. That is, it should start from 7, and the L should start from 7, and L is combined. Since L is combined with the activities J and K in the preceding activity, list, so it should end at the event where J and K has ended. So in the case of L, L should begin from 7 and it should end at 8. Okay, now we have drawn L here. Now again we have to draw M. So in the case of M also, M should begin from the event where H and I has ended. That means it should start from 7, but M is not associated with any other activity, so it should be it should end at some other event. So it starts from here and it ends at some other event. Okay, so one more event has come, that is we have labeled it as 9, and the last event is N. N, for N to start, it should start from the event where J, K and L has ended, right? So here looking at the figure, J, K and L has ended at the event 8, so N should start from here, but N, it's not given in any of the preceding activities, right? So that means it should start from here, but the ending activity is not specified, right? But if we draw a separate event for the ending activity for N, then there are no more activities to be drawn also, right? So if we draw a separate event for N to end, that means in the figure we will have two ending activities, say in two ending events. It is not possible in a network diagram. The network diagram should have only one starting event and one ending event. So N should start from here, but since it is the last activity, it should end at the activity which is already drawn as the ending number, right? So since the ending event is 9 here, N will end at 9. Only then we have only a single ending event. So this is how we draw a network diagram.